It's 2024, and by the end of this year, some of you will be in a vastly different place than where you are right now. You will have achieved your 7- and 8-figure business goals, bought your houses, dream cars, holiday destinations. All of the things that you want for yourself are possible and accessible within this year, but the rest of you are not going to make it. And this video, I'm going to explain to you what to do to avoid that, so that next year, this time, you don't look at a plan that you've set up in 2024 and think, where the hell did time go and why did this not get realized? Just like all the other previous years. This planning exercise is nothing new by any stretch of imagination, but the way and the depth that we're going to analyze it from is. So in this video, I'm going to share my 5-step plan to get to 8 figures with my B2B client acquisition agency in 2024. And by the end of this video, you will understand how to make your own plans come true, whether it's your health, wealth, fitness, higher goals, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So who am I and why should you even listen to me? Why should you even care? I've spent over $10 million in ads across social media platforms. They're all enumerated above and display programmatic as well. I've worked with 3 10-figure brands, which I can't disclose yet, and also helped scale 60 plus 6- and 7-figure brands. Also helped scale the #1 most followed fintech app in the world to 1 million users last year, and helped a short form content media agency Trendify to 7 figures. I've worked in affluent agency and academy for the clients, and also for the students, for the many media and digital agency owners who want to scale to 6 and 7 figures. So that's been transformational. And I'm actually also recommended by one of the most popular, if not the most popular acquisition brand in the world right now. You know it. And then finally, I just signed 21 new clients in our B2B acquisition company, and we're scaling to 7 figures. Now, the secret for that is a weapon that I haven't disclosed yet. So stick till the end of this video and I'm going to get more on that as well. So now back over to you. What are you hoping to get out of this video? The reason why I'm asking this is because most entrepreneurs already know what they need to do, but they are wired to curiously seek more information and answers. And I'm guilty of that as well. Just perfectionism and always seeking the best way, always thinking that there is some better way to do. And there always will be. But the truth is that most entrepreneurs just need to implement a strategy that they already have. And this strategy is typically quite straightforward. It's more, better, and new in this order. So more is the first step. How do you do that? Once you have proof of concept, which is product market fit, offer market fit, message market fit, aka you've signed a bunch of clients, you're getting them results, things are working, you're definitely in a good fit with the market in terms of your offer, then just scale that and fix whatever breaks. Figure it out on the way, because the beauty of it is the more is going to open up the better and the new, the need for the better and the new. When things break. Until things break, you really don't need to worry about it. Until things break, everything else is just a shiny object. And that's exactly what we're doing in our acquisition company right now. We've transcended over a bunch of problems and we've scaled a bunch of solutions that we're already implementing successfully. And this is the plan. But really ask yourself and audit, what are you hoping to get when you're watching videos like this? Because this is not the first video you're watching on this, and it's probably not going to be the last one as well. But there's a time when you have to stop consuming and start producing instead, because that's the first key. That's what's going to unlock your goals in 2024. Now, why even bother? Which is the boring for what's your mission? Why do you do the things that you want to do? My mission is to empower client acquisition agencies and consultants with elite models to scale their business so that they make more, work less, and reach their peak potential as entrepreneurs and as humans, which is actualization. This comes from my first personal experience. I've wanted to have a company for the longest time. I've wanted to prove to myself that it's possible, and I've wanted within it to unlock the time and freedom to study and to go deep into the things that I really care about, my true passions, which are self-development, coaching, psychology, and just the empowerment of people's ambitions and goals, which I name, rightfully so, actualization. You have your own things that drive you. And I know that most people don't start a business because they love business. They end up loving business in the process. And that's great, more power to them. But there are secret ambitions and dreams and hobbies and interests, or love and consideration for your family, which you want to prioritize. And that's exactly what we are here. This is what we exist for, to empower that to come to life. Now, why did I choose 8 figures as the goal? I could have chosen 7. Well, I wanted to go for 7 figures, but that's a small goal, I realized. And I actually already know how to get there. I'm very much on the way there. So instead, what I did is I 10x'd it. And the reason for that is for ideation transformation. All that to say is that to unlock levels of thinking that are inaccessible by playing a small game with small stakes and with small people. The way of thinking required to get to 8 figures is vastly different than 7 figures. And the tools that get you to 7 will never get you to 8. Why is that important and useful? Why is that such a hack? I'm sure you've heard this concept of 10xing before. The concept is important because it enables you to attract the right talent, study the companies that achieved that, and acquire the best models for that, both business and mental, to make it possible. Because the problems cannot be solved at the same level that they were created, you know that. And by inversion, solving for a bigger problem and loftier goal will guarantee that even if the goal is not achieved, then failure would still bring that achievement of a multi-7-figure goal. So if I aim and target eight figures, then wherever I fall short of that, it's going to be still above my initial goal of 7 figures. Okay, now the big how. This is the reason why you're here. This is a big 5-step process, and we're going to unpack it one at a time. Step 1 is to decommoditize the USP. In my 4 years of spending $10 million in ads, one truth has been etched into my brain forever. It's not the ads that scale, it's the offers. I've worked with brands that had a brilliant offer and they scaled from nothing to 7 figures just like that. And then I've worked with average brands without a good decommoditized unique selling proposition, and they never actually made it. And that's how I realized that actually getting on calls with prospects only to be compared with other agencies and service providers is the number one giveaway that you are perceived as a commodity. You are rice in the eyes of your prospect, and that will never scale because the unit economics of acquisition and the average order value are against you. All that to say is that when you go on calls and you're trying to sell something that your prospect, your ideal customer, has already heard a million times over. In fact, they have agencies and service providers lined up before you and after you to just keep comparing you to and just drive that price down. That is essentially a cost-based buying decision. And that's where you're never going to be able to charge high enough tickets. That's where you're never going to be able to scale and acquire your next customer. Acquisition is getting more and more expensive. Now, I've spent years studying how the world's biggest companies differentiate, and this is what we are now implementing in our business as well. One is targeted extension, and the other one is value bundling. Targeted extension is basically the swanky way of saying niching down, which everyone always recommends. Niching down. Why is that a necessity? Niching down makes you be perceived as an expert. It makes you actually become an expert. And value bundling is just offering a stack of solutions so that you are no longer compared on a like-for-like basis. Whether you're offering Facebook ads, whether you're offering email marketing, you're not just doing that. You're offering an end-to-end chain of solutions in your acquisition company. Step 2 is leverage everything. In order to unlock that, you have to be leveraged. The key to unlock efficiencies is massive leverage. You and I will never become billionaire or even a millionaire by trading hours for cash. And if you did, you would be miserable and hate your existence. Instead, I figured that 80% of results are generated by 20% of inputs. And those inputs are not hands-on tools, nose to the grindstone type of work. You don't get there by working harder. You get there by working smarter. That's what I mean when I say they are ideation, strategy, and intellectual property. You're leveraging experience. Alex Hormozi did not make millions with Gym Launch by trading time or labor. He traded something with zero cost of replication, and you know what it is. It's the end result. If you go into a gym and you say, I have the recipe, the secret sauce to get you 240k extra revenue, will you pay me 40k for that? It's a no-brainer. It sells itself. That kind of offer scales and it flies off the shelf. And that's exactly what we're doing here as well. We're leveraging more than just hours and cheap labor, which anyone and everyone can leverage. Now, scale with media and code. It shocks me that there are still agency owners scaling with outdated methods like email outreach, NDM, cold calling, etc. And the reason for that is because most make the mistake of assuming it's risk-free and cheap, and that's just not true. And what's even worse, the true cost is opportunity cost. Not only are these things more expensive than they seem at face value, but they actually scale incredibly hard with a ton of operational drag. And the problem with all of that is the opportunity cost of instead using something smarter, something where code can actually work for you, which is why we're choosing ads all the way. And it would be a bit hypocritical not to for someone who's scaled and spent over $10 million in ads anyway. Our plan is to spend and to scale our own spend to 30 to 50k per month and diversify across multiple sources, TikTok, LinkedIn, Meta, and YouTube. For that, we're going to hire a media buyer at some point, maybe even a couple of specialist ones. And we're also looking at the unit economics of how our funnel is going to play out. We're going to basically reduce the closers count with setters and triagers and pre-qualification. All that to say that when we scale and we spend 30k per month, we're going to have over 1,000 calls per month, and that's going to be taken by a couple of closers, but we can drastically reduce that by using a triager or a setter to basically pre-qualify these prospects before sending them over to the closer call. Or also, we're going to use pre-qualification in our application forms, in our content, which is exactly the last point. We're going to nurture with short-form content and long-form content, which is going to serve to further pre-qualify, to increase show-up rates and to increase the conversion rate of our sales efforts. So imagine if you're selling to a completely cold prospect who's only just found out about you, whether it's through ads, cold calling, that's never going to perform as well as someone who's discovered you through your personal brand initially, consumed some content from you and had the opportunity to familiarize themselves with you and build a bit of that relationship. These are parasocial relationships, but we're not going to go into that right now. But just realize that that will have a ripple effect on all of your KPIs, all of your metrics. Your show-up rate is going to go up, your conversion rate is going to go up, and the qualification is going to be higher and better as well. So you're going to basically have fewer calls with better prospects, close more, make more money. The 2 key hires: no matter how unique your offer, your competitors will catch up to it eventually. So no matter how differentiated and decommoditized your offer is, unless you have a massive technological moat, but even that can be closed. Even if you're Apple, there always will be a company that's going to develop the same technology sooner rather than later, and then you've basically dropped your unfair advantage. Most don't even have that. And in saturated markets, the reason for attention being the new currency is exactly that. It's the truth that you can sell the exact same service as the next guy, but if yours catches more attention and maintains it at the point of purchase, you will win. This is called salience. Essentially, if you and me sell the same thing, the best product is not the best product. The best product is the best known product. If I go into a prospect's business and I pitch and sell and they know me, no matter how good your product is, if they don't know of you, they're just not going to buy from you. And because of that, attention is the new currency. So before you hire VAs, appointment setters, closers, all of that stuff, make sure you hire these two: a graphic designer and a video editor, because that's what media is. And on social media, you need as much of that as possible and as good as possible. Now, these things, going back full circle to the first sentence, no matter how good your offer, equally, no matter how good your attention generating assets are, your competitors are going to catch on to them and are going to start copying. Because of that, you need self-starters, passionate and with skin in the game. So very motivated graphic designers, video editors who are going to constantly push the envelope and come up with new innovative ways to cut through the noise, to make your brand stand out, and to create that positive association in your prospect's mind with you and your brand when it comes to the point of purchase, aka the salience. So those are the 2 key hires that get overlooked for the detriment of other less significant, such as VAs, appointment setters. Not to say that those aren't important, but these are the 2 you want to prioritize. And then finally, M&As, mergers and acquisitions. We're talking about strategic partnerships that cut months, if not years, in R&D, in research and development. Because if you look at some of the biggest companies out there, they create these moats, these chasms behind them, between them and their competitors, by finding these strategic mergers and acquisitions to expand into, which allows them to penetrate new niches, new markets, and also to start creating that value, those end-to-end solutions. And you're never going to be able to achieve that by yourself. So, would you rather have a small pie all by yourself, or would you rather make the pie as big as possible and then have a hefty slice of that? In fact, I owe my biggest leaps forward to mergers and partnerships. My client acquisition company is a merger with an absolute weapon. And the idea, what we're doing here is we're leveraging each other's attention, intel, and mindsets. We're tapping into each other's audiences, into each other's intellectual ideas and mindsets, and we're scaling at an explosive rate because of this beautiful synergy, this beautiful strategic merger partnership. Now, these are what I call potential acquisitions for us. Potentially a call center, so the front end of acquisition, a staffing agency for VAs, for triagers, for growth specialists, and finally a short-form content agency for attention generating. You guessed it. And now you have it. This is the plan to get to 8 figures in 2024, to at least start. And it's also important to realize that actually we didn't start this now. We started this last year in Q4. You don't wait for Q1 to start your plans. But if you didn't, then now is the time to really write this down and to really bake some accountability into it, because otherwise things don't move, things don't change unless you change. And action is the common denominator behind you achieving your goals. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this was interesting, and watch the space, go and crush your dreams, your goals, and we'll see you in the next video.